Good morning, everyone. My name is Asli, and I'm an independent cultural project initiator and external consultant to the Ministry of Culture of Tourism of the Republic of Azerbaijan. I would like to apologize if at some point you will lose my, I will lose my voice. It will be very difficult 15 minutes for me, and I very much hope that, that if I run out of time, you will not cut my speech. I'm very happy to be here. It's my first ICOM Costume annual conference, and I'm very glad and happy to be here. And I would like to thank the organizers and ICOM Azerbaijan President Dr. Shirin Melikova for all the support of having me here. My presentation is about an exhibition, an attempt to make the first curatorial research on the subject of Kelaghayi, a traditional female silk scarf produced in hot batik technique. In modern Azerbaijan, Kelaghayi has become a part of cultural codes, an element of national identity and pride. However, it was not always the case. Kelaghayi risked to end up in oblivion due to gradual wiping out of traditions from our quotidian lives, a political and ideological move to keep Soviet republics as one homogeneous entity. Kelaghayi was given completely different semantics and with time perceived outdated and an enticing element of traditional costume that had no room in modern and progressive society. The turn of the centuries, however, was characterized with uplift of patriotism and search of national identity. The interest to national oral and material culture brought back or revived our many traditions and crafts, including that of Kelaghayi making. The rich cultural traditions and rituals in which Kelaghayi was a very important part of are now slowly reviving. And this photo depicts a variety of Kelaghayi designs. I will touch briefly the color coding and symbolism of Kelaghayi in my next slides. Although I consider myself as an early adopter of Kelaghayi more than a decade ago, before it became a mass trend, and still enjoy wearing it as a way to express my national identity and heritage while living abroad, it was not until 2 years ago that I rediscovered Kelaghayi by visiting a town of Baskal, just 1 hour away from Baku, where Rena Ibrahimbekova and her husband Jalil Tereverdiev revived Kelaghayi making tradition by local masters. A small production and adjacent to it museum constructed in early 90s with the financial support of Japanese embassy grant, is one of the first and oldest social enterprise initiatives in Azerbaijan. As a result, an article, a first publication abroad, was published in a Hamburg-based Carpet Collector magazine. And studying the material collected with passion by the couple whose professional affiliation is far from heritage management business of craftsmanship, Rena holds PhD in sociology and her husband is an architect, influenced my interest to study and popularize the subject and their enormous work. This is how the idea of the exhibition came to life. And the exhibition is obviously not the first that tackled the subject of Kelaghayi, but is the first to have holistic approach and a strong education component. And although the interest to Kelaghayi is growing, especially after it was included to UNESCO Intangible List under the title Traditional Art and Symbolism of Kelaghayi Making and Wearing a Woman's Silk Headscarf, very little information is still available for research on the subject. So the exhibition is aims at further educate the audience, primarily children aged 10-13, on history and making process of Kelaghayi and constantly engaging them in edutainment activities and reflections. The venue is Azerbaijan National Museum of Art. It was chosen due to an established relationship in museum learning activities, which have been also selected for the best practice publication of ICOM International Committee for Education and Cultural Affairs. The exhibition gets 5 rooms in the second floor, and the room plan has inspired me to develop the curatorial concept around the Wheel of Time theme. The beginning of the exhibition starts with a worm it's also worth to mention that this exhibition takes place in the same space as the Silk Treasures, 16th, 18th century Azerbaijan embroideries, a very important and very unique exhibition, in my opinion, of mostly unpublished pieces from ANMA collection and international museums. And it will take place in October this year and last until January 2018. And both topics of silk textiles of significant importance, as well as reuse of some parts of the exhibition design, should create consistency and coherence in visitor experience. So our exhibition on Kelaghayi starts with a time-lapse of a mulberry worm weaving a cocoon, a tribute to nature that highlights the amount of time and efforts required to make the cocoon that it then unreeled to produce textiles. We also have a number of vintage models and photography that explain the silk making process, and visitors also get an experience enhanced by interactive hands-on learning stations. So for example, we will have a tactile experience inviting visitors to compare silk textiles in different stages of production of Kelaghayi up to the final product. And another interactive station will invite our visitors to learn Azerbaijan regional styles of wearing Kelaghayi and also create their own and share that in social media. A selection of wooden and metal galibs, the so-called stamps that are used to produce Kelaghayi, will be used at the exhibition. But since the majority of them are still used by Baskal masters, we will create replicas that will be used in the workshops that will be organized in the museum around the dates of the exhibition. And one, for example, interesting, these are just few examples of the galibs that we will be using. So depicting wild pomegranate tree, or more recent one of Moskvich car manufacturers to commemorate and celebrate the Moskvich car manufacturers' anniversary. This special galib was produced in Soviet times. We did have quite a lot of research trying to group Kelaghayi and create the concept, and most of the research comes from Rena Hanum and her team. In the past, Kelaghayi would tell a story without any words. So, worn on various occasions, its colors and designs would be telling about female social status or her age. For example, the dark colors would be reserved only for elderly women, whereas red was for brides. Instead, in Baku region, a bride would wear a so-called veil called nazörpayi, depicted in the lower left on my slide, and a small handkerchief with a bird in the middle was a part of a dowry. And Kelaghayi, depicting in the lower right, would be worn by women with bad luck, and in that times it would be ladies, widows. And another interesting random discovery that induced me to work on the exhibition was discovery of Kelaghayi of 1923 painting of Alphonse Mucha, which is called Siberia, and it's in the permanent exhibition in Prague Mucha Museum. We know that in 1913, Alphonse Mucha came to Russia for a study visit. The painting was made under the direct influence of that trip and reflected the Great Famine of 1921. And surprisingly for me, a Siberian woman was wearing an Azeri scarf. And studying closer the picture of Marushka, the artist's wife, who posed for the painting, reaffirmed my discovery. The attempts to find traces of that Kelaghayi in Mucha's archives ended up with a number of encounters of his descendants, but no Kelaghayi was found. And as Mucha never traveled to Azerbaijan, with the help of Dr. Melikov, I came to a conclusion that most likely Alphonse Mucha bought Kelaghayi in Moscow, near Red Square, where merchants were selling silk goods from Azerbaijan. And the art detective story actually will be unfolded in the exhibition, juxtaposing the painting and Kelaghayi of the similar patterns. The dialogues will be developed throughout the exhibition. So, for example, the so-called Hari Bülbül, it's an endemic flower of Karabakh area, often found on Kelaghayi from that part. And a learning station will give further information about Kelaghayi, legends associated with it, and the flower, and show extract from the soon-to-be-published fairy tale book about carpet-making traditions of Azerbaijan, for which the illustration was made. And by engaging different voices, like inviting the owners of the largest collection of Kelaghayi in the world to comment on works of famous Azerbaijani artist Maral Rahmanzadeh, I expect that this exhibition will be engaging and more dynamic. Their collection will be also used as a basis to create dialogues between the museum art collection and that depicts Kelaghayi. And a subject of women's role in and moving into adulthood is communicated with a dialogue between early 20th century drawings of another very famous artist, Azimzadeh, and weddings, depicting wedding scenes from the museum collection. And a recent work of Azerbaijan's most famous contemporary artist, Faik Ahmed, whose latest works touch the subject of sexuality and adulthood. And another interesting, in my opinion, collaboration that exhibitions aims to achieve is coupling works by an artist, Farhad Farzaliyev, with a Hungarian designer, Janet Girmay, whose sound weaving project converts embroideries into punch paper stripes for music boxes. And later on, our aim is to use that recording of Kelaghayi patterns and then let Farhad to create music out of those patterns, because he's also engaged quite a lot into music practices. So to conclude, the aim of the exhibition is to study the past, present, and try to understand the future of Kelaghayi. There are a number of questions, and one of them, for example, maybe rhetoric, is that I haven't yet found an answer to what extent, to what degree traditions should adjust to modernity for Kelaghayi to survive. And this is more or less the storyline, the summary of my exhibition. So that starts with the process, continues in a loop, and engages people into dialogues. And we all very much hope that the final room, the so-called reflection room, will be the one where we'll get the feedback from our audience, and maybe it will be also as a type of a research room for further investigation and ideas how to improve and how to help our craftsmanships. And of course, working on this exhibition project would not be possible without support of my friends and colleagues. This is obviously a non-exhaustive list of my supporters and collaborators, and I would like to apologize if I forgot someone in a rush. I will be also very grateful for any constructive critique and suggestions on how to improve this exhibition. And we very much hope that we will inaugurate it next year on November 26th for the National Kelaghayi Day. And maybe we create this exhibition also for touring. So again, I want to thank you. And if I still have 1 minute, I just want to invite all of you to the 5th International Symposium on Azerbaijani Carpets, which takes place in Baku, Azerbaijan, from the 17th to 20th of October. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. I'm the project leader of the symposium. Although it's about carpets, we have a lot of interesting activities on textiles, fashion, and quite a lot of cultural events planned around those days. So thank you very much.